Well, the story of us meeting is one of my favorites. We grew up in the same town all our lives. We never met before, but I knew him. You know, like we always joked he was the Joel Duncan. Like everyone knew Joel Duncan, and he was 4 years older than me, so it never even crossed my mind that we would ever date. You know, I knew him. It was just like never crossed my mind, and now I look back and I'm like, that was totally a God thing. He didn't want us to be together until the perfect time. So it was just kind of, we crossed each other's paths a couple of times. It was just a God thing.
It was kind of different for me because she was a lot younger than me growing up, and even in high school, she was in 8th grade when I graduated high school. So, I mean, I couldn't really look at her and be like, oh man, like I want to marry that girl someday. That'd be weird, but.
How we started kind of talking was I saw him on social media and he just kind of caught my eye, and I think he favorited one of my tweets, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's Joel Duncan. And so I was like, I kind of want to see what happens there. And I was asking all my friends, like, what do you guys think? And they're like, yep, you gotta go for it. So I was like, okay. So we kind of did a little 21st century flirting and liked each other's pictures and commented on each other's stuff. And then it was a couple of weeks later that you finally added me on Snapchat.
And she popped up on my Twitter, and I was like, Face Shoemaker, so I remember her. And then I went to her profile, and she's beautiful, obviously. And we just started talking, and I immediately started falling for her because everything about her was perfect. The first date
was in your basement.
Yeah, if you can count that as a date. Kind of a hangout.
Yeah, that was our first hangout. He asked me over.
It was in November, pretty close to Thanksgiving.
We were talking about scary movies,
right? Yeah.
And
she said she didn't really like them. And then I said that, well, she could watch them with me because I'd protect her, obviously. We watched one scary movie, and then we talked for 3 hours, 4 hours.
After that first time, it was just kind of like we were already inseparable. It was a couple days, you know, the first day it was like, oh yeah, I hope you liked me. And then like 2 days later, he was like, hey, do you want to come over again? I was like, yeah. So then ever since then, we just hung out all the time. And then when we started dating, we literally hung out every single day. And all of our friends and family were probably annoyed by it, but we were obsessed with each other.
The proposal, it was at a pumpkin patch, Marlowe's pumpkin patch.
In our hometown, because I knew she liked pumpkin patches. We got there with her family, and my family was already there. They kind of surprised her coming up. So I texted my family that we were there, and they all walked up, all 26 of them, or however many there were. Yeah.
Everybody walked right past Faith, and she didn't say a word. Like, she didn't even know they were there.
I didn't see him.
She didn't see anybody.
I was looking at the pumpkins.
And then my dad walks up to her, and he goes, hey, Faith. And she goes, hey, what are you doing here? And then they all, like her family and my family, migrated towards the front and just let us kind of walk off, which she still had no idea because she was just looking at pumpkins, trying to find one to pick out. And I got behind her and then got down on a knee, and then I had this big speech in my head that I was going to say, but once she turned around and looked at me, I couldn't really say a word. So I just kind of sat there and shaking like crazy, and I said, will you marry me? And then she said yes and started crying a lot. And that was it.
Joel is just an independent man. When you look at him, you just know that he is strong. He is compassionate about the things that he puts his heart into. And once he commits to something, he's committed to it. And he loves really hard too. When you love someone, you love them really hard, and you love your family, and I can see that. And you love me, and I can see that. And that's what I love about you.
Faith is, I say it all the time, she's perfect, but if I had to describe Faith, she's extremely selfless, hardworking. She works 3-4 jobs. Like me, she loves really, really hard. She's sensitive. but I like that because I have like no emotion. So she has enough for the both of us.
Balances out.
Yeah. She's a family girl, which I need. I mean, she's everything. She walks into a room, lights it up, and I've never met a person since dating you that has said anything bad against you. Everybody always has good things to say, so I love that.
Joel and Faith, since you've pledged your love to one another as husband and wife, and nothing makes me happier. I'm so thrilled. It gives me great pleasure to say this to you, Joel. You may kiss your bride. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor and privilege, not only as a minister of the gospel, but as a dad of this young man, to present to you Mr. and Mrs. Joe Matthew Duncan.
Well, we definitely want to have dogs.
Dogs, yeah.
And then kids.
We'll have kids in 5 years. If not one kid in 5 years. Might take a while. But no, we'll be in Mount Vernon. Mm-hmm. We don't plan on moving. Be around our family. Our whole family's there. We need to be around our family.
And just be happy.
Happy
growing
and loving
together.
and growing our family and living our best lives together.
Yes.
And show me something new. Hey, yeah, it's a hell of a time. This world's insane, but we gon' be alright. Anytime, any day, you know the place. We're never turning down. Wherever you go, put your hands up. Say it loud, say it loud. Let's get together.
Faith and I, most of you know, Faith and I didn't always get along. We're 6 years apart. One of the best, or some of the best memories I have of Faith is she always dressed up in her recital dance outfits and her Disney princess outfits. She loved acting like a princess and was definitely treated like a princess. So good luck, Joel. You got your hands full here.
Faith and I began our friendship back in 2005 down in good old PCB. But my most favorite time spent with you have been those nights we would stay up till 1 or 2 in the morning just talking about life, which leads us to a night she was at the house talking to Maddie and I about this guy that she was newly interested in. And we were like, who was it? And she was like, Joel Duncan. And we were like, Joel Duncan? And she was like, yeah, like the Joel Duncan. And I saw this smile on her face as she continued to talk about the Joel Duncan. I knew right then that he was very special to her.
Growing up, as a lot of you know, Joel was gifted at pretty much everything. I enjoyed, as an older brother, watching him excel in every single sport he tried. Was I jealous of that? Absolutely. But no matter how good Joel was at something, one thing always stood out when I watched him from a little kid to a college athlete. He was humble, he was quiet, he was appreciative of his talents. I think that carried on with him as an adult in every aspect of his life. Being an athlete, 6 foot tall, tan, blah, 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 blah. Always attracted girls. Joel had girlfriends in the past, but nothing that any of us thought to be serious until back in 2017 when he started dating Faith. Something was different right off the bat, how Joel acted around her and how she acted around him.
Hi everyone, I'm Micah. I'm the middle Duncan son, so I forgive you if you forgot or didn't know I existed. I love a low profile. I'm extremely happy to be celebrating Joel and Faith today, but simultaneously have a hard time not making things about myself. And being the only Duncan child not married now is stressing me out. So just bear with me. Faith is one of the easiest people to love that I've ever met. And Joel should thank you every day for letting him be with you. You're kind-hearted, you're gentle, you make everyone around you smile, you're beautiful inside and out, And you know how to make a joke, which is really important because all my siblings are really mean. Yeah.
Let's get together.
I'm so happy for you and Joel. I love you guys so much.
We all know that Faith and Joel are incredible individuals, but they are even better together. They truly are the perfect match.
I guess if I could give any advice, it would be to communicate. This is a person you're going to spend the rest of your life with. Share everything and anything with them at all times.
You know, no wedding speech is complete without a little marriage advice. And as someone who isn't married and doesn't really have the desire to get married, I've asked a good friend for some help, wikihow.com. And according to them, in order to have a happy marriage, you should kiss for 5 seconds when you wake up and 5 seconds before you go to bed. And that seems really easy. So I'm not really sure why people have problems. I'm so excited to watch and be a part of the Joel and Faith story, and I can't wait to see how each chapter unfolds. To my new sister Faith and my little big brother Joel, love you both so much, and I can't say congrats enough.